Hello, class. Instructor Husky here. I wanted to give a little bit more detailed explanation of the instructions for the two assignments in Module 4. And this, you may not feel like you need to watch this, and that's fine, it's up to you. But some people are not actually reading through the requirements for each assignment. And in those cases, they're losing points because they're not providing what the requirements require. So I'm going to go over this a little bit more to help you weed through. I know these requirement pages that go along with the assignments, they're cluttered, right? There's a lot of words and bullet points, and there's the rubric chart, and it doesn't really invite you to spend time looking through it, but it's to your advantage to do that. So I thought I would go through it a little bit so you get an idea of exactly what's required. Now, of course, the way you find the requirements, this page is Module 4 from the table of contents. And if you click on 4-1 activity, bias and primary sources, you come to this page. Okay, so this is the requirements page. All right, I want to point out the different areas of the requirements page because it's all there for a reason. Okay, first is the overview. This oftentimes contains hints about what you need to do in your assignment. Like it could give you some ideas about what the assignment is looking for. Anyway, it's important. You may think, well, it's just an introduction, it doesn't really tell me anything, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they tell you important information that may not be anywhere else in the instructions. Then the prompt is after that. Then the prompt is what we use for the term of question. This is what you're going to be answering, is the prompt. So there's a paragraph there with information, and there's two things within that paragraph that are important for you to notice. Number one is the template. That's the link here, Module 4 Activity Template, Bias and Primary Sources Word Document. Click on that, and it will download a Word file to your computer that you can fill out with your answers. It's important to use the template because, number one, it prevents you from leaving out any of the required information on the answer activity page. And it keeps you from having to design your own, like open up a blank Word document and then copy the questions over. It's much easier to use the provided template. It's easier for me to grade it too, because I don't have to worry about is something left out, or I can just tell by glancing at it that all questions have been answered. And then in this particular prompt, there's a new activity that you're going to be assigned in Module 4 to locate an additional primary source. This is in addition to the one you've already found. Now, if you did not use the research guide to use one of their primary sources that are already selected for you, I strongly urge you to do that, because at this point in the term, you're getting tired, right? You're getting just about to the end of, I'm so tired of doing this. I understand that. So this is why I'm encouraging you to use the research guide to resources that have already been provided, and they're easy to find. Click on the title of your topic in the research guide, scroll down on that page, and you'll see primary and secondary sources. And you may have used one of them already, and that's fine. You can pick a different one and use that for your second one. Or if you found your own primary source originally, then you can use one of the primary sources in the research guide as your second one. Then we've got this important line here. Specifically, you must address the following rubric criteria. I didn't put an image of the rubric on this slide, on this slideshow, but it's on the bottom of the page where the requirements are. So these points below that line are the actual instructions. Okay, the boldface type here. First one is conduct source analysis on two primary sources relevant to your historical event. That is the instruction. The bullet point under it is additional information explaining what the instruction wants. You will respond to specific questions about each source in the activity template. So that's why you need a template. You need to be aware of all the information in this box. Okay, I'm going to break it down a little bit farther page. So let's look at this. This is what the prompt says. There's the link for the, and this is the paragraph put in bulleted form. Okay, same thing here in both locations on this page. Locate an additional primary source for your event. Answer the questions about your event and the primary source used in a previous model. That's not your new source, that's your old source. So you're going to be answering the questions about your event that are in the template based on your first primary source. Then in the third prompt, it says, consider if either of these sources contains bias. Takes a bias, as I threw this in here to help explain bias. Bias takes an extreme position using either explicit or implicit language. Remember, explicit is out in the open, it's obvious, you're being manipulated, and the author doesn't mind that, and he's telling you this is the truth. Implicit is implied. It may not be written in so many words, it's not out in the open, it may be hidden, in the hidden meaning in what the author is writing. So you want to be careful with both of those. But here's the thing about bias. It's not just somebody's opinion. It's somebody's extreme opinion that they want to exclude all other information and just make you think their information is the only correct one. So it's a little bit tricky, bias. You don't want to be too judgmental. And a lot of times students come out and say all secondary sources are biased because they all contain opinions. That opinion is not necessarily bias, okay? It's just that person's opinion, and it depends on how he supports his opinion, he or she, how they support their opinion from their sources. Okay, moving into a little depth here on 4-1. This is again what the prompt is asking you for. When it says conduct source analysis, what it's really saying is read your sources. Read both your primary sources, the initial one and the new one, so you have a good understanding of them and the information in them. That's crucial to doing good on the rest of these points. The second instruction says analyze. We use that term a lot in history because that's the important point. That's the important skill that you learn in history. Analyze means to examine, to inspect, to scrutinize. Scrutinize means look at it very closely. Sometimes analyze is described as taking something apart so that all of the components are visible that go into the whole. So it's really a deeper examination, a deeper look into your source. Analyze both primary sources. And these bullet points here are to help you and analyze that, okay? What clues do you identify that may indicate bias? Sometimes you cannot be sure. Well, I think this author might be a little bit biased. Or you see bias, but you're not sure if it's extreme or not. So this is part of your analysis, okay? Yeah, I think there's bias here, but I could be wrong because it's not that obvious. It's not that in your face. He does give some balanced viewpoint in other places. You see what I mean? Second point is provide evidence of these clues from the sources. Now, this is important. This is a requirement in this answer. To quote or give a casual reference from a source to support your position, to back up your analysis, okay? So this can be, you could just be writing along and say, John Smith, in his book, says, la, la, la. You don't need a citation for that because you've already identified it, and you're going to have a reference list at the bottom that so you can find what John Smith wrote, right? Find his book or his article or whatever. That's a casual reference. A quotation, where you have quotation marks, requires some type of in-text citation. So you got to have a citation in your paragraph and the listed in your works cited page reference list at the bottom. Now the in-text, I've prepared a separate slideshow that I'm not going to narrate, but it shows you where the information is in Shapiro with examples to help you understand how to do citations, both in text and in reference list. Okay. If you don't identify any bias, support your position with evidence showing that the author is objective. This is important because you're using your mind to analyze these sources, but it's not just something you think up. You have to have evidence supporting it, okay? This is to show that you've actually read the source and that you're learning from it. You're demonstrating your knowledge and understanding of the source. That's the key here. And the last point, compare how these sources represent your event. Compare. Do a comparison of your two primary sources. Do they tell the same? This is like an eyewitness account. It doesn't have to be an eyewitness, but something originating in the time period the event happened. Are they telling the same story? Consider a traffic accident. Someone standing across the street from the traffic accident and someone else is a passenger in one of the cars that's involved. Are they going to have the same story? Well, no, they're not. So that doesn't mean one of them's right and one of them's wrong. Don't look at it as right and wrong. It's just perspective. It's their experience. They're telling their own experience. There is no right or wrong, okay? Do they tell contrasting stories? Well, probably. It's very unlikely that they're going to be identical. And if they are identical, wouldn't that make you a little suspicious? Why are they saying the exact same thing? When they couldn't have seen the exact same thing. They couldn't have witnessed it exactly the same way because they weren't standing side by side. Okay? Provide specific evidence to support your position. Again, that could be a formal quotation that requires a citation in text and in the reference list, or it can be a casual reference. But you need, if you're a casual reference, you need to be sure that the reader knows what source that reference is pointing to. Okay, you got to name the author, name the title of the book. Remember, if you give the title of a book or the title of a journal, a publication, an academic journal where professors write articles, okay? The titles of the books and the journals, magazines, newspapers are always in italics. The title of the article in the book or magazine or journal is in quotation marks, okay? That's how you cite something. Students often forget the italics in the name of for the name of a book or a journal, but that's really important. Now we're moving on to the second assignment for this week, historical narrative, and I've done the same thing with the rest of these slides as I did for 4-1, highlighted the important points on the page and kind of written out some explanations. So I'm not going to go through it all myself because I know these I have a tendency to be long-winded and I don't want to bore you. I want you to look at it on your own. So, and this maybe will encourage you to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to stop recording, but I'm going to continue recording the going from page to page. Okay. For this page, I want to say one thing. I hope I'm on the right page here. Um, the words I've put in bold are action, what we call action words. So to compare, to describe, to explain are words that require action on your part. This is not just a sentence. All of these words require a narrative explanation. Okay, some descriptive term, a description of what is being asked for. That means a paragraph. A paragraph is 5 to 7 sentences. So again, you're demonstrating your knowledge and understanding of your sources as well as the material presented in the module. For the APA style guide, you can look at my separate slideshow that will give you the detailed instructions on how to find that in Shapiro and what it offers. Please give me an email if you have any questions or need help on this. Don't flounder. I'm here to help you. It's what I get paid to do. So please just email me if you have questions.